We at Puget Sound Bird Fest are so proud that we are the home port for Bird Fest. The city of Edmonds and this whole area here is a wonderful place to bird. If, however, you're not from around here and you'd like to expand your horizons while you're in the area, we've got 4 places for you to take a look at, all within an hour's drive of Edmonds. We're going to look at Deer Lagoon on Whidbey Island. That'll be our northern area. We're going to look at Juanita Bay Park in Kirkland to the east of us. To the west of us, we're going to explore Point No Point, and to the south, we're going to go into Seattle and look at the Union Bay Natural Area, locally known as the Montlake Fill. I think you'll enjoy all 4 of them. We're at Deer Lagoon on Whidbey Island. We're on the south side of the island at the north end of Useless Bay. Called Useless Bay because it was useless for shipping purposes. This is mostly privately owned, and this is one of the hardest places that we're highlighting here to park at. This little semi-wooded riparian path that goes out to the dike is also lined with quite a few snags, and they've been used by swallows, there's some up there, flickers, sapsuckers. These are really good nesting habitat, and this whole wooded area is full of passerines. It's just a great place to see warblers in the spring. We've come out of the riparian path here, and now we're on the dike at Deer Lagoon. And to the west over here is a brackish freshwater lagoon. That's the part that's owned by the Department of Ecology. It's part of their estuary conservation program. To the east here is the saltwater estuary. And we're at low tide right now, so there's not much, it hasn't pushed many shorebirds up. At the end of the saltwater estuary area, there's an access way, there's an access that goes out to Useless Bay, and beyond that there's a stand of eelgrass. And that is where we can also find brants during the season. And they're a small, very elegant little goose. They're very pretty. They've got these like little lace doily collars. They're just very elegant birds. And they feed on eelgrass, so this is a great place to find them. And as you can see, we have some summer visitors that are pretty special. Historically, pelicans have not been in Northwest Washington. 5, maybe 6 years ago, some of them showed up here, and that was during the drought down by Walla Walla, where a breeding colony failed because its lake dried up, and they showed up here. They didn't breed, but every year since then, they've come back. One of the reasons this is so great for birds is the huge hatch of gnats that are on this dike. They're all over. It's hot today. Usually I wear a scarf around that I can pull up to cover my mouth and nose. The saying here is that if you visit Deer Lagoon in the summer, by the time you get back to your car, you've gotten at least 20% of your daily protein intake from all the insects you've inhaled. During the fall, I've been out here on the freshwater side, and there have been maybe 1,000 buffleheads, which is just amazing. I just never see that many unless I'm here. And they obviously like it here. They congregate here in great groups. And also other winter waterfowl. You've got mergansers, ducks, dabblers. These little ponds toward the south end of the trail are great places for shorebirds. In fact, today I'm seeing some westerns. And I'm trying, it's too far away for me to get a good look. There might be a couple leasts mixed in, and maybe a few Dunlin. Okay, so we're wrapping up our walk through Deer Lagoon. For being in the middle of the doldrums of summer, we saw quite a few birds here today. Year-round, it's a great place. It's actually more birdie during the winter, I feel, because of all the ducks and the overwintering birds and the migrating birds that we see here. But this is home to so many birds during the summer. Many birds breed here. It's a great little area, a great little neighborhood, and we're very lucky to have this as a place to come and bird. This morning we're at Juanita Bay Park in the city of Kirkland. We're at the top end of Lake Washington. Juanita Bay Park is actually on the Great Washington State Birding Trail. It's a fantastic birding spot, about 200 species. It's owned and maintained by the city of Kirkland. One of the really neat things about Juanita Bay Park is so many snags. They've done a wonderful job of preserving snags as they've maintained this area. You know, what's so neat is, you know, they say if you're going to bird, you're going to find your best birds when you bird the edges. And this park is full of edges. You know, you want to say when one habitat joins another, where, you know, a hedgerow joins a field or a little forest joins a clearing. Look at these edges. Lots of benches along this old Market Street trail, lots of places to stop, just sit and people watch. This can also be a very well-traveled pedestrian area on a nice day. Now, this is also such a great place for Wilson snipe. If you're looking for Wilson snipe, when the water level's a little lower and there's some beach down up on the north end here, I've seen 15 at once. If you're a new birder in this area and you've never seen a wood duck, this is where you come. Juanita Bay Park is a protected natural area, and that means that no one can bring a boat, motorized or non-motorized, in this area. You can't even swim in, and there are some little floating orange buoys out there state that. They say no trespassing, you can't come in here. And this keeps it a very pristine area for wildlife. We're entering the wet meadow area, and it's on a boardwalk, a wooden boardwalk. In the winter, if it's icy, this is going to be very icy, so you want to be very careful here. But this boardwalk, it meanders through the wetland here, or the wet meadow area, and will come out onto a viewing platform in the lake. This is a great place to find great blue herons. That looks like a young one. That's Juanita Bay Park. It truly is a gem for the city of Kirkland. It's a wonderful example of repurposing a tract of land, which used to be a golf course, and having it become a place that's on the Washington State Bird Trail. It's a wonderful place for people to come and enjoy nature. Great for waterfowl, great for eagles, just all around great birding place. I hope you enjoyed it. We're here at Point No Point at the lighthouse and the Point No Point Park. It's 61 acres. It's got one of the largest bird lists in Washington State. And obviously behind me is the Point No Point Lighthouse. It was built in 1879. It's the oldest lighthouse in Puget Sound. Point No Point was named Exploratory Expedition of Puget Sound when originally from far away this landmass that juts out the top of Kitsap Peninsula looked very pointed. They got closer and realized that it was a gently rounded beach, and that's how Point No Point got its name. This is why this place is so birdy and has one of the largest bird lists in Washington State. The tides that come around here bring in all sorts of sea life. We're looking at Dall's porpoises out there. We're seeing marbled murrelets, which are endangered in this area, along with rhinoceros auklets, different gulls feeding. We watched a crow picking sand lances out of the sand. It's just got a rich diversity of bird life here. But my soft spot is for the marbled murrelets. Their story is so compelling, and they're in so much trouble here. And they have one kid, one chick, sitting on a big thick branch in some old growth forest, waiting patiently for mom or dad to show up with a fish that he can eat. And they're completely dependent on one of these guys being able to find the prey to bring it back, and one of them not being tangled up in fishing line or shot or eaten by a predator. I just saw a rhinoceros auklet, and one of my very favorite things about rhinoceros auklets is they grow feathers, white feathers, and they grow a horn during breeding season. One very interesting part of this area is what happens with the Steller's jays. Steller's jays, I'm assuming they're young ones who need a new place to live. They disperse and try to find new areas. And Steller's jays, they have a loopy flight pattern. They can't fly very long distances. So if they head north and east, they end up at Point No Point, where their only place to go is across Puget Sound, and that's too far for them to go. So they rest here, they group here, just piled on the driftwood castles that people make. Here's a trail. It's a nice trail. It's a friendly trail. It's ADA accessible. It's a gravel, can be kind of loose, but You can get there. There's a viewing platform here that's got a ramp so you can get up here. Let's take a look and see what we can see from up there. In September, you would see the loons and the grebes would start coming. You'll see the parasitic Jaegers and the Bonaparte's gulls fighting it out over fish. In the marsh area, I think you'd still see the marsh wrens, and you'd see the red-winged blackbirds and the song sparrows and the hummingbirds. Well, the osprey, but by fall they'll be heading back south. We've got lots of eagles here. Point No Point is an ADA accessible, birdability friendly place. It affords birding possibilities for everyone. We're here at the Union Bay Natural Area in Seattle. It's adjacent to the University of Washington, and it's bordered by the Center for Urban Horticulture and Lake Washington. I say Urban Bay Natural Area, but most longtime Seattle residents refer to it as the Montlake Fill. And that's because before this was the natural area, this was the city dump. It was a landfill that was filled in 1966. There's grasslands, riparian habitat, marshlands. There are 75 acres and almost 4 miles of shoreline. This is the second largest natural area on Lake Washington, the first being the Mercer Slough. Over 200 bird species have been seen here. It's a great place. It's a wonderful place of wilderness in the middle of an urban setting. The natural area has lots of interesting habitats. It has a few little clearings like this, which is nice because you can get some edge birding in. One of the really nice parts about this particular birding spot is they have great trails. They're wide, they're even, they're very accessible, they're wheelchair friendly, they are gravel. As you can see, it's got good places to walk or roll. This whole area is in a constant state of reclamation and habitat improvement. You can see there's a sign down here. The fields, no people are allowed in the fields. It's a place for the wildlife to be. They did some improvements on Lake Washington, and part of the construction was they had to do some mitigation for this area. And that's been an ongoing, rather controversial process. But it looks like it's finished and they've got a lot of growth in here. How cute! Pie-billed grebe. We're filming in the middle of summer right now, mid-July, and there's not a lot of waterfowl out here, although we did just hear a pie-billed grebe calling. In the winter, this becomes a waterfowl mecca. It's such a great winter feeding ground. We've actually had overwintering swans that have come here on Lake Washington over here. It's just a great place for all sorts of ducks, geese. It gets really busy here, and this is where the species count for this area really starts to skyrocket, is in the winter months. I talked about the different habitats that the natural area has, and obviously ponds is one of them. Some are seasonal, some are year-round. This one tends to be year-round. Today what I'm seeing are mallards, and I saw some shovelers over there, a couple little baby ducklings. And this time of year, since it's July, the male mallards have gone into their eclipse plumage, so I like to sit here and look at all the mallards and pick out the males by their green bills. The mallard's bill, if you just look at the bill, it's a cartoon dog. One of the nice things about this area is it is so full of people. This is a heavily traveled path. So many people here that the birds become acclimated to humans, and you can get better looks at them than you can, say, out in the wild. One of the big reasons why the birds and wildlife here are so acclimated to humans is right to my right here is Husky Stadium. And that is where the Huskies have their football games all winter, the home games at least. And these paths back here on a game day will be a steady stream of game goers taking a shortcut instead of driving around, walking. So there's a lot of noise. The bay behind us fills with pleasure craft that are honking their horns with every touchdown. This place gets pretty noisy and the birds just become accustomed to it. They acclimate to the noise. The Phil's a great place, especially in the winter, but year-round pretty much, for birds of prey. We have a lot of raptors here. Bald eagles, ospreys, red-tailed hawks, Cooper's hawk, and not really a bird of prey, but a pretty good predator bird, which would be the great blue heron. So this is the Phil. Lots of trails to explore, quite a few nice, very birdy habitats, huge array of species, interesting people watching, pretty easy parking unless it's a game day, and then good luck. It's on a bus line, so if you're a non-driver, you can get here. It's just a great place. It's a total asset to the city of Seattle, and within an hour of Edmonds. Well, I'm impressed. We had a nice walk here. We saw some great birds for the doldrums of